Welcome to you at home and welcome to our studio audience. This is the Evidence series, and in this programme we're looking at peace. I'm one of your hosts, Gillian Joseph, and I can tell you we have a packed, interesting programme and, as usual, brilliant music from Ken Burton and his band. Ken. Thank you very much, Ken.
Good work. Yeah.
And this is Dwight Nelson. Dwight, tonight, peace, a huge topic.
Yeah, when we think of peace, of course, we're thinking war and terrorism and global. And in fact, I was down at Westminster and saw all the peace activists with their placards and banners. So we need to connect with the global need today. But there's this deep inner sense of peace that we must somehow find. And tonight, we're looking for that solution. How can we find this peace?
Absolutely. We look at the global conflicts, but it boils down to the individual. Where do we go to find peace? Can we truly find it?
If you want world peace, go home and love your families. How does that work then? How can that change anything? Peace. What is it anyway? Is it something you do? I don't know if I ever felt peace. I don't know if anyone has. They say there's no peace without justice. Based on whose justice? It's also been said that our society is run on justice. So, shouldn't we be at peace then? Peace. It's a simple word, but it seems really hard to live. How can we know what peace is when we're so full of conflict?
How can we know what peace is, so full of conflict as we live? Anne Green, nice to meet you. Glad to have you on our front table. You've been through a storm or two in your life. How have you coped in this journey to peace?
I think I've coped. My faith has backed up my coping.
Okay.
I think we all go through times in life when life throws at us things that we would rather not have.
How true.
And I think my peace is really like being in the eye of a storm.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen all around you, but somehow something gives you that inner peace which actually passes human understanding.
What brings that to you, that what you're describing down in the core of your heart or your stomach? What brings that?
Well, for me, it's prayer. If I couldn't pray to God and to Jesus, then I would find I wouldn't know how to keep going, really, because that's, I think, what gives me my inner peace. Sure it is.
Your faith.
My faith,
Yeah.
yes. Because I believe in something that's outside myself. And without that input, I don't think I could
Thank you, Anne.
cope.
Thank you for sharing with us. We're all on this journey, Gillian, to peace. Some music would be appropriate right now to bring that peace to us.
Absolutely, and we know that this next track will. It's going to be performed by Kersti Esselvall Schmorsch from Sweden. Tell us what you're going to sing.
I'm going to sing a song called Soothing Peace.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Kersti.
Drowning in sound, all alarming rumble. Drowning in sound, all alarming rumble. So loud.
Sheshti, thank you. Now, when we think of peace, we think of the absence of conflict in our lives, of having no worries at all. But it's much more than that. It's actually a state of mind. This next artist that we're going to hear from, Donald Brown, has done a piece entitled Millennium Monument. And basically, he's trying to inspire peace and reconciliation.
The Millennium Monument was designed in 1998, that's right, and finished in around about 2002. And really the idea behind that was to create a work of art that embodied as much of a positive energy as possible to educate, empower, inspire, motivate people to make positive changes in their lives, both personally and socially. It really is a piece that embodies two genders, well, both genders, male and female, showing them working together to elevate the world to greater heights. And as I said, it's a piece that really promotes within the mindset of people to promote positive personal and social change. I mean, the actual sculpture itself is layered in its significances and symbolisms, one of which is promoting peace, certainly between both genders as well as worldwide. And I mean, on so many levels, it is so key to be in tune with peace. From a health standpoint alone, you know, so many people, they carry tension and burdens and pressures that they are so unaware how that lack of peace, that ongoing pressure, that tension can be so destructive health-wise, from high blood pressure, ulcers, I mean, the list goes on. And I mean, that's just one aspect of, you know, promoting peace through the actual sculpture. But from a global perspective, then I mean, I would imagine it goes without saying that, you know, promoting peace is obviously a positive thing in this day and age that we live in. I mean, and I don't want to just be someone, oh, look at what I can sculpt. And so if I can, as I say, you know, synergize and fuse as many symbolisms within my works, then that's a good thing. And peace being one, and, you know, as many positive elements as possible, so that people can appreciate art on more levels than just looking at it aesthetically.
Peace is often spoken about on international terms, global levels. But what about the individual? How do we understand and see peace within our lives?
Peace is a hard one.
Peace could be many things. It could be peace on earth, but it could be peace in, you know, in life as well. So it depends.
Quiet life, understandable life, peace.
Peace is everything. Peace is everything. We have to live in peace. If we want to do something, we have to be surrounded by peace, and because you can't do anything if your peace are destroyed by something.
Knowing that my family is fine and there is no war.
When you say peace, I think war. Actually, the world today is about war. It's about religion.
Frieden. Oh Gott, schwierige Frage. In meinem Leben Frieden. Das heißt Gewaltlosigkeit, Frieden im Sinne von Gewaltlosigkeit, sehr wichtig. Ich mag Gewalt nicht, ich verabscheue Gewalt.
We're in Coventry, yes. And we were looking at the ruins of the cathedral, and I was walking around this thing thinking this cathedral stood for 700-800 years, and in the last 60 years it got bombed because there was a disagreement that really wasn't that important at the time. And looking at the actual history of the place and the feeling that it was going so well for so long, and then we just screwed it all up. That's what peace shouldn't be about. It's the wrong end of it.
Tranquility. Everybody getting on with everybody else, really.
I think peace is really hard because we do have differences, and I think we need to come up with ways to resolve them. But when you've got big guns and big bombs and those sorts of things, and dominant powers, then peace isn't going to prevail because, unfortunately, we rule by fear as opposed to by what it should be about, which is mutual respect.
I don't know, the world does peace very well.
Being married helps. So I think consoling in each other, I think that's interesting. I think that's why you find peace with each other. If you find that, then you can find peace within yourself too.
Ja, ich denke mal, ist schon wichtig, weil wenn sich alle bekriegen würden, auch so untereinander, dann würde sich ja eigentlich kaum noch einer verstehen, außer so kleine Gruppen. Und ich denke mal, es ist wichtig auch für die Kontakte und so.
Kann er irgendwas tun, deiner Meinung nach, um das irgendwie zu unterstützen?
Ich denke schon, also man könnte zum Beispiel mit den Leuten reden oder so und den Streit irgendwie schlichten. Es sagt, redet mit denen, klärt das unter euch und nicht irgendwie einfach sag jetzt mal, irgendeinen Krieg haben, also schon wichtig.
I don't know if I have found peace within myself yet. I think my grandmother had it, but I think it took her an awful long time to find it. I don't think it's something that comes straight away. And I think it also might be one of those things you don't even know if you've got it.
Everybody needs to give some, you know, not just take. And think more about other people than just yourself. Then it will be peace.
So many of us searching for peace, but sometimes life throws very difficult situations at us and we actually look for peace in all the wrong places. This is the story of Kim Salberg from Sweden.
When I was a little girl, I didn't really have a home. My mother left me in an orphanage for some time, and then she left me with some relatives for some times. So I didn't have a very good home, you can say. So when I was about 13 years old, my life was a chaos, and I was trying to find peace. And I discovered a very good way of finding peace. Somebody taught me how to use morphine, what you today would call heroin, but it's the same stuff. I was living with heroin and also amphetamine actually for 25 years. I was working in daytime, and then in nighttime I was criminal. I was doing prostitution and drug dealing. I was very afraid that somebody would find out what I was really doing. But I was living two lives actually. And that was not giving me too much peace, of course. But when I used this heroin, nothing could really touch me. And nothing bad, but also nothing good. My life was like gray. Everything in the same level. But it was a hard work actually to get all the money for this heroin. Because as long as I had heroin, things were going all right. But as soon as money was not there, or the drugs were not there, hell came into my life, actually. This was hell. Because when you're a drug addicted, you're not afraid of dying. You're afraid of living. That's why you take drugs, right? One morning in 4th of July 1997, I woke up and I knew I wouldn't take drugs no more. And this decision, I don't know where it came from, because I knew I would get very sick from not taking drugs. When I stopped taking drugs, I started to think. And what was bothering me was that if I now had the chance to live, I knew somebody who didn't have the chance to live anymore. And that was because of me, I thought. I was involved in 1995 in a robbery. Me and a so-called friend, we went to a place, to a man we knew. I knew him very briefly. We went to him because we wanted to rob him from his weapons. It ended up with this man being tied with his hands and his feet and his mouth. And when we went from that place, we took the weapons, but my friend has also taken his life. So he was dead when we went from there. In 1995, they put me and my friend to custody for 2 months, but we did not confess. We denied everything about this. And while my friend was killing this man, I was doing everything to clean up the mess in the apartment. And I was quite good cleaning because they couldn't find any evidence that we'd been in this crime. So now I came back 3.5 years later confessing this crime. And my friend came also to custody. He came by himself because he was wanted, they put the sign wanted. And he came to the police himself, and he thought he would go through this and come out on the other side. He did not. After 7 months, I think, of custody, I got 5 years of prison for robbery, for armed robbery. The court didn't see me as guilty of the murder, which I thought I was cooperating in this. I didn't hit the man though, but I opened the door, and this was my crime. But they said it was armed robbery. But my friend got a lifetime for murder.
It's sad, isn't it, how we have to resort to self-medication, heroin, alcohol, just to engender some inner peace.
Both legal and illegal means.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's shift gears. Let's move from inner peace to global peace. We are delighted to have on the evidence Diana Francis, author of this book I hold in my hands, People, Peace and Power, Conflict Transformation in Action. Diana, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm intrigued by this conflict transformation. I'm used to saying conflict resolution. What's the difference?
The idea of conflict transformation is that conflict is very much a part of human existence, and that without conflict we can't actually live together, change together, struggle with life's problems together. And if you have difference and if you have movement, then you have conflict. What we need to do is to deal with conflict constructively, transform it for the good into something creative at whatever stage it is. Resolving it may be one of the outcomes, but we sometimes need to engage in conflict.
And you have actually spent your life in the thick of conflict globally. You have been the former president of the International Fellowship of Reconciliation. You've been to some big, shall I say, hotspots of conflict. One of the most difficult conflicts, can you recall what was just really a tough one to resolve or to transform?
One of the really hard things dealing with conflict is having the courage to allow it to come to the surface and not try and keep it hidden. And I worked with some women from the former Yugoslavia when the time of the conflict was very hot, and they came together at the side of a lake outside of the country to try and talk to each other. And within the first 24 hours, one woman, a Hungarian, had accused another woman, a Serb, of being a spy in the group.
So you've got conflict right in the heart of this little community you're trying to build.
And people were very frightened of the conflict. But the two women really managed to work it through together with the support of the whole group, and that was really transformative for the group. It showed that conflict can be dealt with and got beyond.
Diana, sorry to cut you short, how necessary is it to go through conflict to then attain peace?
I think if we're going to have real trust with each other, we have to have that knowledge that we can survive the worst in our relationships as well as the best. And often I've seen groups being superficially nice to each other. And it's been because they've been afraid. And once they've survived a conflict together, they know that their respect is deep enough for them to survive their differences and really to grow in respect and learn from their differences. And so I think being comfortable with conflict is part of finding peace.
So you're not suggesting then that peace means the absence of conflict?
No, absolutely not.
What would peace be then? Define peace for us.
Peace would be a state of affairs where you were able to do conflict together with respect, with love, with care, and towards a greater good that you can build together.
So I'm moving down the sidewalk and I bump into you, Diana Francis. Oh, the lady who makes peace. If I asked you, how could I become a peacemaker in my little community, my neighborhood, would you give me something specific to work with?
Being self-respecting, respecting other people unconditionally, not about your private likes and dislikes, but about people as people with God present in them. Learning to be a very good listener, learning to speak truth with love very simply, learning to be there for people when they need you, and above all, holding on to your own still-centeredness so that you actually somehow are a resource for peace for other people.
Diana Francis, I hope I can be a peacemaker like you. Thank you for making a difference in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Diana Francis.
Now, this next musical item is truly beautiful. It's going to be performed by Levi. What exactly are you going to perform? Jermaine, I'm going to pick on you.
Well, sometimes life is hard, and this song talks about peace that we can have in Jesus.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Levi.
Sometimes when you're in the valley and all of your burdens are carried alone, oh, but I know when you need me, call, I'll be there, longing to prove how much I can. Peace, I'll give you peace when the wind blows on. Peace, whenever you call me, I'll give you peace when the wind blows on. Heartache, whenever your heart breaks, I want to be there to help see you through.
Oh, when you're weary, you know you can find all the strength that you need. Find your rest and your hope in me. Peace, I'll give you peace when the wind blows on. Peace, whenever you call me, I'll give
Thank you, Levi. What a beautiful piece on peace. Well done. Beautiful, beautiful. Do you like good poetry? I'm not sure if this piece gets filed under good or under provocative, but I want to share it with you. It's a piece written by Edward Arlington Robinson, and it's entitled Richard Cory. Let me read it to you. Whenever Richard Cory went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from soul to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim. And he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked. But he still fluttered pulses when he said, "Good morning," and he glittered when he walked. And he was rich, oh yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought that he was everything to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked and waited for the light and went without the meat and cursed the bread. And Richard Cory, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. Whoa. Disturbingly emotive, to be sure. Written from the perspective of one, how did he describe himself? We, the people of the pavement. But you get the play and the interplay in that, don't you? You have this wealthy Richard Cory, has everything in the world. And then you have the have-nots, as it were, envying the man, wishing that they could have his life, when in fact the man is on the verge of suicide. It's a provocative piece. But ladies and gentlemen, masterfully weaves together the reality of our society today. We are a society of haves and what? Have-nots. Yep. And because we are that kind of a society, we are a society that has yet to find peace. I'm not talking about global peace. I'm not talking about a world free from terrorism, but I mean a kind of peace that goes deep within your soul and your psyche. The next time you're walking on the sidewalk, I want to challenge you. Do an informal survey for me, will you? Just catalog on the hard disk the expressions on the faces of the people that you are passing. Just watch their faces and put them down. I would venture to suggest that probably not even 1 in 20 of the people you are cataloging will reflect to you, at least facially, will reflect a sense of deep inner fulfillment and personal contentment. In fact, some artists in New York City ran an experiment once. They went down the sidewalks of the Big Apple, as we call it, and they came up to people and they said, "Listen, would you take this little chalkboard, please, and write down on the chalkboard anything you wish?" And so the passers-by would scribble on the chalkboard. Then they would hold the chalkboard up, and the artist, when they had finally assembled all the pictures, carefully examining what New Yorkers mentally were experiencing, they came to one. And I want to quote what appeared on this young man. Well-dressed, by the way, a slick urban professional, handsome to boot. Here's how his sign read. Held it up. They took the picture. "Help, please. I am desperate." A guy who has everything. I tell you what, I read a statistic that really troubles my own soul because of it's about the homeland of mine, and that is they have found out that for kids between the ages of 10 through 14, all right, are we talking children? 10 through 14, the 4th leading cause of death in the United States is suicide. I mean, can you believe that? 10 to 14, you're supposed to be riding a swing, not hanging from your neck on a rope. What is this? Where is this deep inner fulfillment? Where is this peace that has been our theme all through this session together? You know, I can't speak for the East, huh? But I want to speak for the West, the secular postmodern West. Obviously, there's something missing inside of us. And notice the word, the preposition in. We have so much outside of us. We are arrayed with everything, essentially, that the heart could desire. But something is missing inside of us. I'm going to be honest. I am not a fan of Cher. You ever heard of her? Let me put her picture on the screen for you. There she is in all her loveliness. Cher, when she was Sonny Bono and Cher, you remember those days perhaps. She was given an interview and describing how in the early days, all the fascination of the accumulation, more money coming in. And she told the interviewer all about her new stereo and how much pleasure she got from it. And then over time, she's telling the interviewer, over time she would come home and look at it, and I'm quoting her now, it was just my record player. You get the point? I mean, we had to have it. This is what I want. And then when we get it, it's just nothing. It's nothing. It's not what I was needing. Wasn't there a song once or a line somewhere talking about looking for love in all the wrong places? Is that how it goes? Looking for love in all the wrong places? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I believe the world is looking for peace in all the wrong places. Peace, this inner contentment. The reason the world can't get into peace is simply because the world is utterly unstable in and of itself. Instability is what we live with. You want to talk about the war in Iraq? Will that ever end? We live with that instability. I've got to tell you that in my home country, ever since September 11, we have been tortured corporately and privately with a sense that we just can't get a handle on life anymore. We are living with instability. There's something about instability that just keeps us totally frantic. I mean, when the tube isn't running on time, what can you count on anymore? We went in on the tube the other day, and is it Bakerloo? Would it be Bakerloo? The Bakerloo line was down, and we had to take all these lines winding around to find our destination in London. If the tube is down, if the traffic lights, how long? By the way, I love how you do this: red, yellow, then green. I'm going to take that idea back to the States. We've got to find a way to know that the red is almost over and that the green is almost here. How do we live with this kind of instability? Nothing, you can't count on it anymore. Even the medicine that the doctor prescribes, we take the medicine, but it just doesn't work. The instability of human society. Quest, hunger out of this instability for peace. And of course, it's not just our man-made structures, it's Mother Earth itself. I'm thinking of that little class of Turkish kids. You remember that? 7.0 on the Richter scale. And the whole school building collapses. We can't turn anywhere for stability. Karen and I were here. The last time we were here in England, the hot story was SARS. You remember that? SARS? We weren't sure who to let off planes anymore. Maybe they would have it. Talking about instability, it's what we've learned to live with in this society. But with the instability, there is the lack, the absence of peace, until we come to the place that the only certain thing about life on this planet is our uncertainty today. Instability. So where do we turn? I tell you that story we saw a moment ago with Kim. She's turned into heroin. We self-medicate, self-medicate. We do it, as Jillian commented, we do it legally. We do it through alcohol, doctor's prescriptions, over-prescriptions, psychiatric care, until finally T.S. Eliot. Let me put his line on the screen here. T.S. Eliot, humankind cannot bear very much reality. We just can't bear it. So what's the answer? Unless we are doomed to live our lives on this planet in angst and in fear, there has got to be a solution. Where do we as individuals in the West turn for that solution? I would like to suggest that the great teacher Jesus of Nazareth was onto something when he spoke these words. May I put the words on the screen for you? Take a look at the screen. These are the words of Jesus of Nazareth. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, and do not be afraid. Notice the contrast between peace. He says, now there is a peace in the world, and by the way, he does not deny that the world can give peace, but he says, I'm not going to give you what the world gives. I will give you my peace. He draws an intentional contrast. What is this peace that this Jesus of Nazareth offers? You know what? I want you to, don't switch the telly off. I want you to follow through with this for a moment. I have a feeling that the peace, this deep inner peace, is somehow linked to the moral teachings of this Jesus. In fact, Thomas Jefferson, our third president, hardly an Orthodox Christian. I mean, he has nothing good to say about Orthodox Christianity. And yet Thomas Jefferson made this observation about Jesus of Nazareth. Let me put Jefferson's words on the screen. Of all the systems of morality, ancient or modern, which have come under my observation, none appear to me so pure as that of Jesus, which is precisely what I'm suggesting in our session here. Could it be that the moral teachings of Jesus, living out these principles in our own lives, will integrate peace in a way we have not known peace? Because you think about it, most of his moral teaching has to do with our interpersonal relationships, how we relate one to another. Let me put this line up. Christ spoke these words. You see that there on the screen? Greater love has no one than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. St. Paul, his line on the screen. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Listen to this line. What would happen if we lived by this one line? Bear one another's burdens. Would there be a sense of inner contentment? I could live with you and you with me if I focus my life on how you experience it rather than always me. How am I feeling just now? One more line. Ancient book of Deuteronomy from the old scriptures. Put it on the screen. If there is a poor man among your brothers or sisters in any of the towns, do not be hard-hearted or tight-fisted toward your poor brother. Rather be open-handed and freely lend him whatever he needs. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the principles of selflessness. I am absolutely clear. I don't want to say, read my lips, but I am absolutely clear that the unhappiest people in all the world, bar none, are selfish. That if you live always looking out for number one, you will never experience the deepest, most fulfilling kind of inner peace. You can't. Because you're always worried, what's happening to me? What's happening to me? You're totally preoccupied. Now, I'm not surprised that we live this way because the modern scientific paradigm, naturalism, Darwinism, if you wish to call it, Darwinism exists with the premise all creatures struggle to master the top dog's place. And if you and I embrace that worldview and we live by looking out only for number one, we're going to discover that we will live without this deep inner peace as long as we live. So what's the solution? I'm wondering out loud with you if the moral teachings of this Jesus of Nazareth are not in fact what we ought to be considering as a civilization. The words of Bill Daniels. The man is onto something. Let me read his words. I'll put it on the screen here. Imagine a world where people give of themselves simply because they want to. Okay, you're trying to imagine this. Not out of a sense of debt or because they want something in return. No ulterior motives, no guilt feelings, just a desire to give for the sake of giving. Now, he goes on. Instead of imagining this kind of world, do your part to make it happen. Oh, I like that. Make a charitable donation. Volunteer your time to improve your community. Give back to the world that which has been given so much to you. And if it happens to make you feel good, that's okay. Feeling good is the one ulterior motive that's acceptable. There is a dimension of peace you cannot get away from. And that is, we were created to live for others. That if you and I spend our lives absolutely consumed with ourselves, like Richard Corey, we will never, ever know the meaning of peace. So this Jesus of Nazareth says, hey, the world gives peace, I give peace. Take my peace, the peace I leave with you. What does that mean? Well, Mother Teresa, she lived by that Jesus of Nazareth. Nelson Mandela, Clara Barton, you've heard of her? Oscar Schindler, well, I don't know quite what he lived by, but this idea of living outside of yourself, living, focusing for the existence of others. You know, the problem with the press is that they are so preoccupied with whom Madonna is going to kiss next. That's all they can think about. They won't report on Doctors Without Borders. By the way, be it a session coming up when we're going to have somebody from Doctors Without Borders. They don't care about the Red Cross. They don't care about the World Health Organization. They just say, what's the next hottest bit of No, forget the press. There are thousands upon thousands of people never noticed like Mother Teresa who are quietly going about living essentially the moral teaching of this Jesus of Nazareth. And I promise you, if you could get a hold of them today, they would tell you, I am at peace. It's okay. I'm happy. I don't have much. I'm not known, but I am happy. I have peace. Well, that's what we're all hungry for, I know. It somehow is wrapped up in this notion of self-sacrifice. Not the kind of peace the world gives, looking out for number one. No. The kind of peace I give, self-sacrificing peace. Let me give you 3 examples of individuals. I love these stories. Here's an Australian named Keith King. He works for Qantas Airlines. 6 months of the year he works for Qantas. The other 6 months he spends every energy he has raising millions of dollars to build children's hospitals. What a man, Keith King. Let me give you another name. Here's a name, Chris Moreau, who even with his full-time job started the Santa Claus, a non-profit organization also looking out for kids. Now I'm going to quote him. These are his words. We'll put it on the screen. Chris speaking, I was driving to a holiday party December 23rd, 1997, a few years ago. I heard some band on the radio doing a really lousy rendition. Wouldn't have been our band. We got great music here, don't we? Yeah, but I heard some band doing a lousy rendition of a Christmas standard, and it was horrible. I thought, I could do that. And so I got to the party, and a bunch of my musician friends were there, and I just thought, hey, what do you guys think? We could put together a holiday CD, and wouldn't that be fun? And it occurred to me that if we were going to do that, we should probably give the money to children's charities simply because Christmas is for kids. That's the bottom line. I'm going to give you one more. In fact, I'll put his face on the screen. He is Johan Olav Koss, 4-time Olympic gold medalist from Norway, who started an organization called Right to Play, and he's moved into 18 undeveloped countries. And what's he doing? He's getting sporting equipment for the kids. He's teaching adults how to coach. He went into Sierra Leone after their civil war, transformed the place, got a hold of 5,000 kids. And by the way, some of the soldiers are children soldiers, and he took those kids and he shaped them. He gets his joy. What's he get? What payment does he get for it? No payment at all. This is called self-sacrifice. But I have a feeling, ladies and gentlemen, go to these 3 and 1,000 more just like them. I guarantee you they would tell you, you know what? I am really contented with life. I am at peace. You want that kind of peace? I want it. Of course we want it. The good news is, ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to go to Sierra Leone to immerse ourselves in the life of a world in need. We've got them all around us in the community, in the neighborhoods where you and I live. We were originally made, I believe, to be selfless. And so our truest joy and deepest peace will come when we live out that selflessness. As we read a moment ago on the screen, if we esteem others better than ourselves. Now, I've got to admit, the moral teachings of this Jesus of Nazareth, while it's true, they would do something for our relationships, and they would bring a deep level of peace. The fact is, you know, you can have the greatest relationships in the world, but if you get disease, if a tragedy strikes you, if you go through suffering, all the relationships in the world don't suddenly dissolve that horrendous crisis. So, this same Jesus of Nazareth, I wonder what he would do to give us peace in the midst of the deepest kind of personal crisis. Do you suppose his peace would really work? I'm going to go back to that line. Remember that line of his? Peace I leave with you. Let's put it on the screen again. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Now notice the last line. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Go back to that last line. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Can you imagine how much peace we would have in this world if we could live without that sense of fear? Now, I'm going to be candid with you. It is my conviction that the dominant worldview that most of Western society lives by, in fact, guarantees a sense of fear and uncertainty. Because you think about it, if I'm just the chance creation of quarks and protons and proteins, That means that there was no destiny that got me here. That means there is no destiny to move me beyond this moment. And that means when I come to my death, it's going to be sayonara, and who's next? And in fact, if we talk to scientists, they will tell you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We know that we've raised some questions that you might want answers to. Please feel free to get in touch with us. You can visit our website, or you can contact us by email, or you can give us a call. We would love to hear from you. Dwight.
Could it be that the universe really is a friendly one? And that we are not orphans of chance, but that someone has willed us and chosen us to exist? Someone who longs to bring his gift of peace to our hearts. Think about it, and then join us again next time for more of The Evidence.
Bye for now.